A terrorist has rammed into a group of Israeli civilians, injuring many. He then got out and started stabbing people with a screwdriver. IDF veteran Yoav Rotem joins us now with the breaking details. Yoav, what can you tell us?
Shalom Raj. So this past afternoon in Israel, the northern part of Israel, next to what's called Pardes Chana Junction, an Arab terrorist used an easy weapon, unfortunately, a car that he was driving, running into a bus station or a place where there was some people standing by the road. 10 were injured, one severely critical condition, a girl 17 years old. And after that, he was driving towards the police over there and got off the car and tried to attack them with the screw, as you mentioned. The interesting part is the identity of this person. This person is an he's a Palestinian Arab who is illegally staying in Israel for years, apparently, because he married to an Israeli Arab lady. The difference between these two is very interesting. We have part of the Israeli population, 21% Arabs in Israel, equal civilians. But in the West Bank, we have Arabs that are not Israeli civilians, and as for now, they cannot go into Israel. They need permits, and they barely can get permits since October 7th. This guy has kids that are Israeli, and he's 53 years old, and he decided to commit a terror attack. This is a very unfortunate situation and very sad, and actually it's part of propaganda probably that is happening.
Well, yeah, that's my question is someone who does something like this, uses their car to ram into civilians, then reaches for a screwdriver to start stabbing the first Jew he sees. He has to know this is a suicide mission. He's not going to survive this. So obviously you can't, look into his mind, but what drives someone to do something like this?
There's many research about it, and there were different kind of waves of violence that happen, unfortunately, in my country here in Israel. But this kind of age, specifically from what I know and I remember from former cases, is people that are motivated by propaganda, hatred against Jews. The trigger can come from something upsetting that happened to him either the same day or something before, something in business, something with the authorities, something. But definitely it's aimed towards a specific population. He knew where they are, and obviously trying to attack the policemen as representatives of the state of Israel is something that there's something here behind. I mean, there's agenda, there's propaganda that is always trying to develop hatred towards the Jews. You can find it all over the media and the web, and maybe he was exposed to it.
So here's the question, Yoav. You mentioned that 21% of Israelis are Arabs. So how do Israelis see these attacks? You talk about the bus stations the buses that blew up last week, where that could have been dozens of people killed had they set them off at the right time. How do Israelis separate this continued attacks and also not foster hatred towards the Arab people? It seems like, from what I've experienced, I've been to Israel dozens of times, and this is just my personal experience. I don't meet many Israelis who would say I hate Arabs. In fact, I've never met one. So how do Israelis separate those things?
Oof, that's hard. It's a very deep discussion that you're bringing up over here, especially after October 7th with the Gaza people. And you do hear some anger and hatred lately, especially because of these atrocities that happens. But I think it's coming from education and a mature level that we are a democracy and our neighbors living next to us can be Arabs, and they can be good people, and they're equal citizens to us. So developing hatred is something that doesn't help. And not just doesn't help, it's not part of the values or the core values of Israel. And unfortunately, we do find here and there things like that because, since I remember myself, and I'm a product of the 80s but even people who were born in the 70s, we've had these attacks, terror attacks here in Israel, either by stabbings or even suicide bombers during the second Intifada and even before and after. I think the energy should go how to prevent it. And if it's security, a lot of effort in security, the security fence that helps a lot to prevent from terrorists just to step into Israel and explode. And there's a huge effort, and we trust our security bodies with intelligence to stop these events. How do we don't develop hatred? It's hard. I don't know. It's a hard question.
Well, I've been to your house many times, and you're right. And I think for people that have never been over there, they don't realize that Jews and Arabs in the state of Israel live literally next door to each other. 20%, was it 2.1 million, something like that, Israeli, citizens, not Palestinians,
Yes.
that live in the West Bank or Judea-Samaria, Gaza. They are citizens of the state of Israel, and so it's really it's not what you would think from the news reports that you see from different organizations. You go there, and there's this one city, Abu Ghosh, for example, on the way to Jerusalem, and there's Jewish people and Arab people, and you can't really tell which houses are different, and it's all just one kind of big mix. So I think the solution is complicated because it's so interwoven of who's who, what's what.